What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to a brand new football news video. And thankfully yesterday evening late at night Liverpool and other English clubs have withdrawn from the European Super League, so it's a small victory, but we have to keep the fight going. We have to change the football landscape in England and in European football, because UEFA's proposal for the new Champions League format, which we will talk about later in this video, is not a lot better than the Europa League, the European Super League. It's a little bit better, but not a lot better. And I think after this, there is no way back for the Liverpool owners, even though John W. Henry, like a man, sat down in front of a camera and apologized, and he said that he was sorry and they made a massive mistake and they let the fans down. But I still am mad at FSG and the Liverpool owners, because why couldn't they consult the Liverpool players? Why couldn't they consult Jurgen Klopp? Why couldn't they consult the fans? This should have never happened. These six rich owners, rich oligarchs, thought that they can do anything and everything in football, and they treated the whole football community with no respect, and I'm really upset. Can you imagine the other 14 Premier League clubs and how mad they are? And today's topic is that Liverpool could face massive sanctions, point deductions and all kinds of fines, because this European Super League, they already signed a binding contract, and even though there was no games played, the Premier League rules say that you cannot enter another competition without the authorization of the Premier League, and you have to have 14 clubs saying yes to you entering a different competition as a club from the 20 Premier League teams. And of course, obviously, the top 6 clubs didn't get that approval from the Premier League. The Premier League knew nothing about this, just like Jurgen Klopp, just like the Liverpool players, and just like any kind of staff at Liverpool and the fans either. So Sky Sports report that there is a difference of opinion among the group of 14 Premier League clubs about whether there should be sanctions against the top 6, the big 6 clubs, now that they have abandoned their plans for a European Super League. One senior club official has told Sky Sports News that they want to pursue the possibility of punishments because they feel there is a clear breach of Premier League rules, and a precedent must be set to act as a deterrent to possible future breakaways. And that's the problem. If you don't punish the Premier League clubs who tried to join the European Super League, then basically the Premier League rulebook doesn't mean anything. The Premier League rulebook isn't even worth the paper that it's written on. So you have to do something, but it's a real problem. How do you punish the owners without punishing the Liverpool players, without punishing Jurgen Klopp, without punishing the fans? Because if you punish the football club, then you punish the people who are not responsible for the European Super League, because the owners acted in their own self-interest without consulting anybody inside Liverpool FC, and that's true to all the other top 6 clubs as well. And by the way, you know, Arsenal and Tottenham are not in the top 6 in the Premier League right now, so it's quite silly to call them the top 6 when basically they are the top 6 richest clubs, not the top 6 best clubs in the Premier League right now. That's for sure. I just wanted to clarify that. So let me know, guys, do you have any ideas, any suggestions? How do you punish the owners without punishing the football club, without punishing the fans, without punishing the players or Jurgen Klopp? Because Jurgen Klopp and the players put blood, sweat, tears and a lot of effort into this season, and if you deduct points from Liverpool FC, you punish the players who have nothing to do with this. You punish Jurgen Klopp, who have nothing to do with this. You punish the fans who have nothing to do with this. But Rule L9 in the Premier League rulebook says that any member club needs prior written approval by the Premier League board to enter a new competition, and this official says that rule has patently been broken by the rebel clubs signing an agreement to join the Super League. And it is already reported that Liverpool are already losing 8 to £10 million because of the withdrawal from the European Super League, because there were penalties. They signed a 23-year contract. I heard that somewhere yesterday, I think on the news, on Sky Sports. Can you believe that? The Liverpool owners and all the other owners signed to be in the European Super League for 23 years, and they didn't tell anyone. How will they regain the trust of anybody in the football community? How will they be able to sit down in a Premier League board meeting when they have no credibility, no trust left whatsoever? It absolutely blows my mind how they imagined that they could get away with this, that the football community would just eat it up and swallow it. And the PR, the marketing was basically non-existent for the European Super League. It was an absolute hot mess. And I'm so glad that it only lasted for 48 hours. This was one of the craziest 48 hours, I'm sure, in many of your lives. And certainly in my football experience for the past 20 years of supporting Liverpool Football Club, I've never seen anything like this before, and I really hope it doesn't happen again, but I don't hold my breath, because these billionaires will try something similar in a few years, in my opinion. Another executive at another Premier League club has told Sky Sports that any sanction imposed on the Big Six, such as point deductions or fines, would hurt the wrong people, the players, the managers, and crucially the fans of those clubs. That's exactly what I was talking about as well. Instead, they advocate the Premier League rules being tightened for the future, but they say the Big Six should be welcomed back into the Premier League fold quickly, because there has to be a measure of realism here, with those six so crucial to the overall commercial and sporting success of the league. Yeah, you can't kick out these top six clubs from the Premier League, because that would devalue the whole competition and it would hurt everybody basically. But you have to have some kind of punishment, and you can only punish the owners and fine them if you go to court, and that could take years. And even then, it might not happen. Clear action needs to be taken against the ownership of the clubs involved. It's unclear exactly how to exact punishment without hurting those who were not involved in the European Super League proposals. And of course, the Liverpool ownership group FSG's interest in bringing Liverpool into the European Super League would have allowed Liverpool to potentially benefit from a huge broadcasting rights. Kieran Maguire on a podcast said, "Is this tournament definitely going ahead?" Definitely not, because UEFA want to sell TV rights in one block, and this, I think, is the crucial issue for clubs. But can this be used to get more money from UEFA? Yes, one of the key issues as far as they are concerned is that the franchise clubs want to be able to sell some of their own broadcast rights for these matches. In the proposed franchise, there are 2 divisions of 10, and therefore each club has 9 home matches. 3 of those home matches would be able to be sold by the club direct to the consumer, effectively on a pay-per-view basis. But of course, thankfully, the European Super League is not happening now, but that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to create a Netflix type subscription service where you have to pay a fee to watch any game in the European Super League, and they wanted to have millions and millions of customers and rake in a huge amount of cash. But thankfully now that is not going to happen, because it's a closed shop. And a report from The Independent is saying that Liverpool players were considering legal advice in light of Liverpool's involvement in talks to form a European Super League. An insider described the relationship between the manager and the owners as bruised. Their players were shell-shocked, and they started to think about legal advice. Liverpool's most important employees were as surprised as the public when the storm broke. And that's what most upsets me, that nobody inside Liverpool, apart from the owners and the CEO, knew about this. And basically, Jurgen Klopp was thrown under the bus. The players were really thrown under the bus, and it just leaves a really bitter taste in the mouth. But guys, don't stop fighting for what is right in football, because we have to change the ownership model in English football. We have to either bring in the German model, where 51% of each club is owned by the fans, fans, so any major decision made can't be made without the fans' approval, or there has to be an independent regulator, which is government appointed or whatever. So they see, they actually oversee each ownership of any big club in the Premier League. So the fight is not over, because football still needs saving, and UEFA and FIFA are corrupt and rotten to the core, and UEFA are now parading themselves as the good guys, but they are anything but the good guys. Because in 2024, the new Champions League format, basically 2 Champions League places will be given to clubs with the highest club coefficient that weren't able to qualify to the Champions League through their domestic leagues. So for example, if Manchester United end up finishing in 6th place in the Premier League, they can still qualify if they finish in the Europa League places. So they can still qualify for the Champions League. My issue with that is who misses out, because whoever misses out, who earns the right to go into the Champions League, it's not right. It doesn't feel right. Even if you just take away 2 places from the qualifiers, because you know that smaller clubs have to play 2 or 3 qualifiers, and that's also not right. For example, that a team like Ajax, who recently went to the Champions League semi-finals, and they were in the Champions League quarterfinals as well a few years ago, that they had to go through like 3 qualifying rounds the next year after they went to the Champions League semi-finals, even though they have like 4 Champions League trophies. And clubs like Tottenham, who finish in 4th, if they finish in the 4th in the Premier League, they go into the group stage. So what I think should happen is, yes, you could give 2 clubs a Champions League place regarding that their coefficient. So Manchester United or maybe Chelsea or Tottenham, if they finish outside of the top 4, yes, you can put them in. So you could have, in theory, 5 Premier League clubs, but you can only take away places from smaller sides, and that also is not fair. But I think it would be even worse if 4th place in the Premier League didn't qualify because of that. So imagine that Leicester City makes 4th place, but they don't qualify because Man United finished in 6th. So I would only accept that if the top 4 qualifies no matter what, and then yes, Man United could qualify, or Chelsea or Tottenham or whoever, if their past 5-year performance deserves that. But also it's a very iffy rule. I don't think they should change it, honestly. I don't like it. I think it should be how it is. Yes, you can make the Champions League a little bit bigger tournament. Maybe scrap the League Cup in England, because or actually make the League Cup a tournament for teams who are not qualified for Europe. So the top 7 in the Premier League from last season, who will from this season, who will play in the Europa League and the Champions League next season, they are not entering the League Cup. All the other teams will enter the League Cup, and that's actually a good way for one of the smaller teams to qualify for the Europa League, because the League Cup winners go into Europe as well, and I think that would be a great achievement for any of the smaller clubs. But I don't think this is a good idea by UEFA, that you could give 2 Champions League places to teams who haven't earned the right to play in the Champions League by finishing in the top 4 or in the top 3 in any major league. I don't think that's right, but yeah, let me know what do you think about that. And John Barnes also said, I would say to the fans, as much as now we are talking about, even from the Liverpool's perspective, is it over for the owners? Do they have to sell Liverpool Football Club? Who are they going to sell the club to? And if they sell the club to someone with more money than them, do you think that the people coming in whose business is run on autocracy are going to listen to fans when they say, this is what we want you to do? It's not going to happen, so you can't have it both ways. And also, in the middle of the pandemic, who has £2 billion to buy Liverpool Football Club? Because that's about Liverpool's valuation right now, £1.5–2 billion. Either you are a massive oligarch or a consortium of huge proportions, or a whole country, and you can buy Liverpool Football Club. But will they be better owners than FSG? There is no guarantee that. I'm even going to say there is a good chance that they will be a lot worse owners than FSG, slowly motivated by making a profit, making a money. And I'm not sure if we should get rid of FSG just yet, just for the sake of it. I only want to get rid of FSG if there are better owners coming in than them. And also, Jan Fjørtoft, a journalist working in the Bundesliga, said it's time to look at the ownership models at the clubs. The German way of 50+1%, where the members are in power, is not without weaknesses, but as Churchill said, that democracy is the worst form of government, except for all those other reforms that have been tried before from time to time. That's even worse than democracy. So the German spectator traditionally has close ties with his club. That's what the Borussia Dortmund CEO Watzke said. And if he gets the feeling that he's no longer regarded as a fan, but instead as a customer, we will have a problem. And I think that's what should happen in England as well, because many fans are more and more disgusted and fed up by modern football, because more and more each year we feel that we are treated like customers and not as fans. And also Sky Sports reporter Kave Sohako said, now I would differentiate between some of these breakaway clubs, because I think some of them jumped on board on this train to nowhere at the last minute. The ringleaders, make no mistake, were the American-owned clubs. I'm thinking of Manchester United, Liverpool and Arsenal. You could say maybe you could have a bit of sympathy for Chelsea, Man City and Tottenham, because they decided to join at the last minute because they thought our rivals are setting up this league and this is something we have to be part of, this is the future. But they admitted that they made the mistake, and it makes me sick to my stomach that Liverpool were one of the leaders in trying to create this European Super League. But what can you expect from the owners? They are venture capitalists. Their bottom line is the profits, the revenue, and they don't really know football. They don't really understand English football and European football. They don't love the game as much as any of you or me, any Liverpool fans. And Jurgen Klopp is really angry at the owners. Behind the scenes, The Athletic has revealed that there is huge damage already done, and the relationship between Jurgen Klopp and the owners will probably never be the same. Jurgen Klopp had delivered on his promise by seeking urgent discussions with the FSG hierarchy on Tuesday to make his feelings known. The manager, who wasn't consulted about John W. Henry's plan, which was hatched during a series of Zoom calls with other rebel clubs. He has always hated the idea of Liverpool signing up to a closed-shop Super League. Klopp was furious the bond between his team and his supporters had been jeopardized by the damaging proposals, and I'm sure that there will be many harsh words said between Jurgen Klopp and the owners. I think Jurgen Klopp will be honest with the owners. The owners have to be honest with Jurgen Klopp and explain why they thought this was a good idea and why they thought this was a good idea to not include Jurgen Klopp in the discussions. Also, John W. Henry said that Liverpool CEO Billy Hogan had nothing to do with the European Super League proposal. And if he says it, do we believe him? That's the problem. Like, I can't really believe anything that he says right now, because he broke the trust of the Liverpool supporters, and it will take a lot of time and a lot of effort for the owners to earn back at least some of that trust. But I think the trust is ultimately very fragile, and I don't think Liverpool fans will ever trust the Liverpool owners as much as they did before this happened. So in the future, whatever they do, that trust can never be fully repaired. And that's where I want to end this video. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. See you later, guys. Goodbye.